Yes! Oh my god, that light is bright. What is up, everybody? And welcome to this IG Live in place of our normal all-new Seinfeld. I'm Dylan. Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be joined by a very special actor to help amplify Black voices here on this Blackout Tuesday. I think taking the opportunity to amplify Black voices is what today is all about. So we're going to be joined by Phil Morris, the fantastic actor that you guys have seen in Martin, in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, in Jingle All the Way. He was amazing in that. But of course, we all know him and love him as Jackie Chiles in Seinfeld. So we're going to wait just a couple seconds for him to join. Stand by for Phil connecting.
Yo!
There he is!
Yo!
Phil, I got to tell you, I'm mad.
Why?
I think today was an amazing opportunity for everyone to come together and post something of value, because I think in general the message was fantastic, everyone coming together. But I think it could have been like Unite Tuesday or Amplify Tuesday. And I'm just afraid that seeing all these black boxes sort of put a pause in the momentum of the movement. And I'm curious what your feedback on that is.
You know, at first when I saw the black boxes, I thought there was something wrong with Instagram because, you know, there's been this threat of taking a lot of the social media down. I wasn't sure what was happening. So that's a little off-putting. But when I figured out what it was, man, I got to tell you, I was good with it. I was good with it because I think that whatever brings attention to this, however imperfect it is, and it's going to be imperfect for a while, we have to have some tolerance. We have to have a little wiggle room. And I think that's what's been missing a little bit. We have to accept some of the imperfections of trying to go forward, as opposed to saying it's got to be perfect. We have to have it done now, or judge things that are imperfect that are really trying to do the right thing, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. You know, anything is better than nothing. And to tell you the truth, I am seeing people post on Instagram that I haven't seen post maybe like ever. So just to get any extra voices out there are great. From being out there in the streets personally, and I think overall, I think the community is coming together more than anything I've seen in my lifetime. So I'm just curious if you think this instant that we're seeing this week is sort of a tipping point, and hopefully it is. And if you think things will change from this one specifically.
I think that's a great point. I think, yes, things will change. And I think that what we saw in terms of the looting, the reactionary, even if they're outside factions, even if there are other protesters who then see an opportunity, that was the pendulum swinging all the way over. And now what we're seeing is a little bit of it coming back to the midpoint, where we're going to then see answers. We're going to see compassion. We're going to see love outreach. But at first it was the reaction. There's pain, there's anger, there's hurt. You know, we've been living under this for so long, bro. And I've been, what I said at the Manhattan Pier, and I just got back from there to speak with you.
Thank you so much.
Of course, it's important. It's important. It's important. And they just literally marched by my house, and they were beautifully restrained and wonderfully peaceful. But what I said to them there was that we've been living under over 400 years of this on both sides, right? And so it's going to take a while for us to transition. We have to acknowledge that it exists and really go through it, as opposed to around it and skirt the issue and think, I thought it was better. Oh my goodness, where did this come from? Always been here, always been here. We just never acknowledged it. Now, it's a new day. It's a new chapter. We can no longer keep our voices silent. We have to all be heard.
And it's been one of the things I've been seeing. It's not white versus black. It's everyone versus racism, which I think on this point, you are seeing more demonstrated than ever, where the community out there is multicultural. It is all people. And even me personally, the phrase Black Lives Matter clicked more than ever, because of course, by saying Black Lives Matter, we are saying all lives matter, but all lives don't have to worry about being murdered by police officers that they're paying to protect them. So it's important to amplify the word that Black Lives Matter, because obviously that cop did not think that George Floyd's life mattered, and that's why we're here, and that's what we're saying.
Right, and we're seeing the preponderance of that. If it was a standalone incident or a one-off, it's a different conversation. But again, this is 400 years of this, and you put it so beautifully. It isn't that the phrase Black Lives Matters excludes anybody.
Right, it's not only Black Lives Matter.
No, it's that this is an issue that we must take and highlight. So yes, we must overemphasize the fact that Black Lives Matter, because it seems as though they don't. That's just the reality. So stop twisting it for your political reasons, whoever's out there trying to hate on Black Lives Matter or even Antifa. Listen, the intent of these organizations is to bring order and peace to a wildly out of control system. And their expression, again, hold on. Oh, there we are. Look, I got my phone in my hand. So what I was going to say is, what I just saw down at the beach is exactly what you're saying. The diversity, the inclusion, the acceptance of all people to understand this situation from their point of view, and understanding that they can't understand it all, they can't know it all, but if we come together, then we will each of us bring our own truth, and then we will understand more together as opposed to apart.
Facts all the way through. This demonstration is what being Black in America is all about, but I think you can chime in about what being Black in Hollywood has been about. So do you mind sharing a little bit what that experience has been like, and if it's related to the experience in America or how it's different?
Well, entertainment always reflects society to a degree, albeit an extreme version of society, whether it's comedy or drama. My father, Greg Morris, was one of the first African Americans to be a star of a nationally networked show in Mission Impossible back in 1966. So I know this from before I was an actor, and I know it from my own journey as an actor. The images that we are seeing in film and television do reflect society. When you see an Issa Rae doing Insecure, when you have Kenya Barris doing #BlackAF, or you have any of a number of filmmakers now, Ava DuVernay, that are telling the story of the 13th Amendment, our stories are starting to look like us because our creators look like us. And that's the change, right? More product will be made in Hollywood when the people making the decisions look like the product that they're making about. So if you have African-American decision makers at the top, they will choose projects that relate to them. That's why it's been homogenous, because the studio heads, the network executives are homogenous. They come from a certain mainstream orientation. That's the image they know. That's what they promote. When you see African Americans, Latins, Asians, my God, I love Crazy Rich Asians. When you see them taking the lead in their own projects, you see more and more diversity. So that's what we're seeing in society. Society is more and more diverse. The shows and the movies reflect those diversities. The girl who's in the new Star Trek show is wonderful. She's the captain. She's a female. She's Black. Nobody bats an eye. She's wonderful. It took a long time. Those are hard-won gains. And we're in that place again. We need hard-won gains. We can't think it's over. We can't rest on our laurels. We can't think that this protest is the end. It's hardly the end. It's hardly the beginning. It's hardly the middle. We're just in process, people. And just sit tight, like with the virus. It ain't going anywhere quick. So we all have to understand the science behind that and the science behind racism, the science behind what's been going on in our country for over 400 years. When we accept it on both ends, as the oppressor and the oppressed, we'll find answers together, and we'll move through this together, because we can't do it separately.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, the lead on Star Trek, and I'm sure, and from your own career, being on Melrose Place all the way to jobs today, are you seeing a change instead of seeing roles that say this character is white, this character is Black, this character is Asian, to just all ethnicities and the best actor wins?
Yes, I have. And much to the industry's credit. And to the industry's credit, there is an edict, which I don't always like legislation in these cases. I want it to come from the natural order. But there is a diversity edict in Hollywood, which, it's like #Black Lives Matter. We have to highlight certain things. So because of the inequities in Hollywood, they had to, in a way, overcompensate by saying we are forcing producers and forcing production companies to look at all available credible talent, not just a white guy, white girl. So I was one of the first actors, quite frankly, years ago, to be able to go into an office and not read for a role that was just African American. It was transitioning right when I was starting my career. So there were a lot of times I'd go into an office, a casting office, and there were a lot of white guys, Mexican guys, Japanese guys. They really just wanted the best. And I think that now, more so than ever, they just want the best person for the job. If Idris better than Tom Cruise for the role, give Idris the job.
Right.
If Denzel's better than De Niro, give Denzel the job. So I think we're starting to create those, and I have to give honor and respect to my father, who kicked the doors in with Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte, and the list is very long. For these actors and actresses and creators to live in the glow of Hollywood as they do right now. But it has changed quite a bit, and I'm very proud of my industry.
Yeah, I think, and there's so many streaming platforms, and there's so many shows, and not only is there something for everyone, but there's everyone in everything, which is fantastic as well. Funny enough, you just participated in this animated feature, Superman Red Sun, where the character you were playing is totally different than what he usually is. So I'm curious if your experience playing Jimmy Olsen in Superman Red Son, was extra special for you, and how that maybe film is even more relevant today than ever. Because, by the way, not only was it awesome, but it's a sort of like an alternate universe of Superman. And I think today a lot of people would suggest that it's like an alternate universe right now.
Yeah, I thought it was wonderful. Thank you for bringing that up. When they told me, and I've worked with the people at DC and Warner Brothers for quite a bit, and they're wonderful to work with all the time. But when they said I was doing this project, I said, well, who am I playing? And they said, Jimmy Olsen. I said, Jimmy Olsen. Red hair.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, this is a whole new take, Phil. And a smile just graced my face, because even in animation, even in the world of fun, cartoon, children's education, we're showing that the world is diverse. We're showing that you can inhabit any strata of society because you earned that place. You have worked to inhabit that place in our society, whether you're Black or you're a woman or you're transgender. I mean, this is a new day in our world, and we need to just keep in step with it. And when we have shows like that, I played Martian Manhunter on Smallville.
Yes, you did. I never missed an episode.
And I was impressed that they didn't have to go Black with him. Martian Manhunter was never known as an African American in the comics. He was, in fact, a detective from Denver, Colorado. Right. I love that they did that. And then I asked the creators if they did that on purpose, and they were like, no, it was just, this was a decision that we made, and you guys came in and you killed it. And I like that even more, that it wasn't said to them by Warner Brothers or DC, you got to make this guy African American. Right. It was just a thought they had creatively that would work. And when we get to more of that, where it's not so causal, and we don't have to highlight hashtag Black Lives Matter, and we just accept it the way it is, we'll be in a better place. But we're not there yet.
Right. But you can't skip a step. It's just like, it's a ladder. So, there's just more and more progression. So this is obviously a big step forward. All right. Let's move on to the Big Macha. Let's move on to Seinfeld a little bit.
Sure.
Because
those guys.
There's sort of like a joke, not as much as Friends, but that Seinfeld's sort of like a white show.
Yeah.
So your participation in the show, was there a sense of did you have a sense of duty to represent the Black community? Were you proud? Were people coming up to you and saying, thank you for being on the show? What was sort of your experience being on the #1 show, sort of as the only prominent Black actor?
I'm always proud to be a Black actor in Hollywood, and I always feel as though I'm bringing a certain representation that is absolutely unique and necessary for me to bring. So I'll just say that. I didn't feel that any greater or any lesser doing Seinfeld. And take this away, mean it. I was not a fan of the show when I did the show. It wasn't that I wasn't a fan of the show. I just was not a Seinfeld person. And I think as an actor, as an artist, it's almost better to do that, because when you go into a show and you're a fan of the show, you can daunt your performance. You're like, oh, wow, I hope they really like me. I hope I'm really funny. And I didn't have any of that. I had worked with Michael Richards prior on a show called Marblehead Manor, and we were very good friends. And I really love Michael. I still love him to this day. So I wasn't nervous about going in there when I saw the scenes were with Kramer, and I knew Michael had done several scenes with Michael Richards on another television show. So it was the perfect storm of events for me. And then when we all went in, man, and I'll tell you, it's a funny story. It was a really hot day on a Saturday in the Valley, which is where CBS Radford is, where they shot Seinfeld. And a bunch of us went. A bunch of us African-American actors went to kind of play Johnny Cochran, for God's sakes. We all
and that was the note.
That was the
Johnny Cochran inspiration.
It was the absolute description of what they wanted. They sent it out. We want somebody who can do an impression of Johnny Cochran in their own way, they said, but that's what we're looking for. Well, here's the weird part. If you've heard any interview that I've done in the last 20 years, Johnny Cochran used to go to the barbershop I went to when I was a kid. So I knew this cat way before the O.J. Simpson trials. So I feel like I'd been doing unconscious research on him for a long time. I knew his, you don't say, well, because that's how he talked in the barbershop, So, oh, of course. But when I went in, we looked like the Motown Mafia. A bunch of Black guys in suits walking on CBS's lot. And I got the part because I was just funny, man. I was just funny.
Now,
And
how much of what we've seen in the show was fully developed at that first audition, and how much did it sort of like morph when you were working with the writers and the pace of your speech, and how much did it grow the character?
so after the table read, I go to the first scene, which is my scene, and Jerry follows along. He wasn't directing; it was Andy Ackerman who was the director. And I start doing my thing. I got 5 days, right? So I'm trying different stuff and different inflections and different attacks. And Jerry goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Now he's not directing, but he says, "Whoa, whoa, 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 are you doing something different?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I got 5 days. Got to figure this guy out." He goes, "Nope, nope, nope, nope. You spend 5 days doing exactly what you did for me in my office, and we will win." I was like, "I can do that. I
Yep.
can do that, man." So it really was I brought him in the door. I walked in the door with Jackie. Actually, Jackie walked in the door. I was nowhere to be found.
And we are so, you know, you were, I'm not sure if people are aware, you were only on 5 episodes.
Yes.
But your impact seems like you were on for those seasons.
Yeah, I mean, every show has their seminal stuff, right? Seminal episodes and seminal characters that when they come on, people are like, "Oh yeah, man, this is the girl or guy that I wanna follow." And Jackie was just one of those characters. He was so bombastic. I mean, Jackie. When I played Jackie, I played him as though it was Jackie's show.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it in the real world, Jackie Chiles was the star attorney in New York. He was the big name guy. Jerry Seinfeld was a kind of like a rote comedian, and no one knew Elaine and George and
Right.
Kramer. So when I came on the show as Jackie was like, "I don't even know who these people are, but I know who Jackie is." And so that gives an actor power, gives a character power, and I think the audience really related to that and liked it.
Yeah. And it was apparent to, you know, people at the network and obviously Larry, because he's always said one of the spinoffs would be either both sets of parents in Florida, which would be hilarious, or Jackie would have his own show. So were there any conversations for a Jackie Chiles spinoffs, and how far did those go?
They went very far. I had a holding deal with NBC and Castle Rock. And then right at that time, the writers that I had, that Jerry actually had suggested I'd use for my show, they plucked and put into Michael Richards' show, where he played detective. So, you know, he had the overall deal at NBC. I mean, it made sense at the time, but it really hurt my chances to do Jackie.
And what, I'm just going to write those people down. Who were those actors off the top of your head? Do you recall?
Who, the writers?
The writers of the actors that were on the Michael Richards show instead of yours.
Greg Cavett and Andy Robin.
And those were the writers that went to his show instead of yours.
Right.
Got it.
And I had conversations with both of them about how Jackie would live in this day and age.
Oh my God, please, can you keep going on a small little summary of what maybe that first episode was like?
Well, back then, Jackie would still have been a practicing attorney. I mean, remember, that was 20 years ago. So he wouldn't be that now. You know, he would be a judge now. He'd be a judge. And we had not a deal necessarily on paper, but we had a deal with George Shapiro and Jerry to do Judge Jackie recently.
Okay.
But in a story that's way too long to tell, they decided not to do any spinoff from the Seinfeld canon. They have some other ideas for certain things. And even though they wanted me to do Jackie, I will do something else with them that will be as, I think, funny as Jackie. We have something that's really, really good. That is still a high-level character, a very verbose character. And I think people will love it.
Al Sharpton?
It's even better. It's even better. This guy is a mouthpiece on air. So if
Stephen A. Smith!
Hey!
There we go. That's going to be amazing.
Come on, man. Could you imagine Jackie?
We're telling you right now.
Not Jackie, me as a sports journalist like a Stephen A.
Yes. Fantastic. I mean, can't wait. And especially today, because with the social media, like, that is the sports.
You go from sports to politics to race to culture to, you know, I mean, the guy would be fantastic. So we have a whole treatment and stuff. I don't want to give too much away. I'm working with Lance Crowther. Lance Crowther is Chris Rock's head writer and works with Wanda Sykes. I worked with Lance on the Wanda Sykes show, Wanda at Large. So he's my showrunner. And we're close, man. We just got to let all this crap that's happening subside.
Well, I think the timing, you know what? It could be great when this settles. The timing for a character like that could be even more poignant than ever. Maybe this is a tip for you. I was waiting outside of an airport to be at the arrivals, and Stephen A was out there. So he has a security guard a couple feet away. He was in his tan trench coat, head down, on his phone. Somebody came up for a picture, and he accepted, but his tone was very like, all right, like, I know I'm the man. Like, you want a picture? Like, all right. So that was his off-camera persona that I saw firsthand, if that helps you all, at all.
Oh, trust me. When we do this show, Steve is going to want to be on it.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
And when we say, we're doing we have a parody of Stephen A. Smith character, in sports. Well, who's playing him? Phil Morris, the guy who played Jackie Chiles. You'll be like, what? Of course, I got to tune in.
Yes, amazing. All right, now, Phil, thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, is there sort of one line or moment from playing Jackie Chiles that sort of stays with you the most?
They are real in this.
Thank you so much, Phil Morris, for joining us. So we're going to be looking out for all that stuff. And are you currently on Doom Patrol on DC Universe?
Yeah, I'll be there. Watch me. I'm on #BlackAF as well as Kenya Barris's dad. And I got a bunch of other stuff. We'll be talking, man. We'll be talking.
All right, my man. Stay in touch. This was awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate you, Dylan. Stay safe out there.
All right, be well. Same as you. Bye. Woo! Well, that was awesome. Thank you so much for you guys for joining us here on this IG Live. Phil Morris is doing amazing things. We just heard, I think he dropped the bomb that he's hopefully going to be playing Stephen A. Smith type of character in a new show with Chris Rock's head writer. So that would be amazing. We just found out also, dropping bombs, that a spinoff would have been happening recently, actually, with the Jackie Chiles character, but has sort of loved the character, and he's still embracing it to this day. And he just was amazing with that last close. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you hopefully next week with an all-new Seinfeld. If not, get out there and do your guys' thing. Thanks so much. I'm Dylan.